Welcome to P&L, Priorities and Lifestyle, with your host, Rob Schultz. Rob is the founder and president of Schultz Wealth. All opinions expressed by Rob and his guest are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Schultz Wealth. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Please refer to our website for more information.
Welcome everybody to P&L, Priorities and Lifestyle. I am your host, Rob Schultz, and you're not going to want to miss this. This is an incredible story of Chris and Stephanie Lofton and their thriving business that they have. And you know, a lot of people have the story about starting from nothing, right, and building up a great business. This is the story about starting from what we're calling less than zero. This is an amazing story. And I guess we've got to start kind of at the beginning. First of all, say hello to everybody for us. Stephanie.
How you doing?
And Chris.
How you doing?
All right. Well, good. So y'all started from less than zero. Tell us where that is.
So basically, me and my wife met through a pen pal relationship in prison. We were both incarcerated. She was supposed to be incarcerated for the rest of her life, and me, I had been in and out of prison, 3-4 times, and I was in prison again. And we met through my mom, who connected us through. My mom was in prison ministry.
Okay.
And she just said, I met this. She said, I'd never introduce you to a prisoner, but I met this girl that is just really special, and she'll probably never see daylight, but I just think that, you should encourage her. Long story short, 5 years later, we both got out right around the same. I think I got out.
You got out March 1st or March 10th, and I got out August 23rd.
And we've embarked. So we've actually had I don't think people understand, two people going at life is hard enough, but two people with an X on their back, me with multiple X's on my back, it's like it was really hard. Everything from getting an apartment to getting qualified.
Yeah.
We had no credit. We had actually bad delinquent. It was bad because it was considered ghost credit.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't have any credit. So you didn't have any credit. So let's go through all these things that were against you. You already mentioned. So you don't have any credit. You can't get an apartment. You can't.
We actually had to go to a ministry.
Yeah, we're
What's
apartments,
that?
a ministry.
We went through a ministry called City Walk.
Okay.
And they helped us get into a high-rise apartment downtown. It was, a new thing is for second chance people. And
oh, that's huge because
most places you end up having to go backwards. That's what I was explaining.
Yeah, where do you live? Because I can imagine, somebody who owns something that wants to rent, and they have two people that they want to rent to, and one couple has a record and the other doesn't.
Yeah.
Who are they going to rent to?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's what we ran into.
I can't imagine. Okay, so you had to find a place to live.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we checked that off.
And no money, no capital to begin with.
Okay.
When you get out of prison, they give you $100. That's it.
So you want to know how we started?
Yes.
I got food stamps because, when you come out of a situation like that, you can go get food stamps. And I went to Sam's and bought cases of candy bars. And I would go downtown to the train station and sell them. And that's how I bought my first little minivan. And then I took that minivan down to Harry Hines and bought perfume from a wholesaler. And I would go out on the streets and sell perfume, and I was killing it. We were making $1,000 a day.
$1,000 a day.
So that was the other thing. You didn't have a car to start with. You didn't have transportation.
You had to build everything.
How can you do anything in the Metroplex without a vehicle? So you went and just without a car made the money
on the train station.
Okay.
The train station.
And then you went. And so you got the car, I guess. Somehow.
With the money from the candy bars.
Okay.
Yeah, I sold candy bars. Really 2 weeks. I bought a minivan, Mercury Challenger minivan.
Yeah.
And we started buying cases of perfume. And when I started selling the perfume, it was just it took off.
So that was a good move.
But it began to dry up, and then I had a catering business. I think we both have always just been entrepreneurs.
Okay.
We just work well that way.
Yeah.
But we started a catering business, and I was working Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings, and I mean, we were doing well with money, but we didn't have any direction on where to really put things, do things, start anything like we have now.
Okay.
Those weren't, to me, stable businesses at that time.
And what we started to look at when we got pregnant is that we wanted a house. We wanted to raise our children different than we were raised. And there's just no way at that time for an entrepreneur, a guy selling perfume, to get some house loan. So
You can't get any
No,
loans
Yeah.
no
at all.
loans at all.
So that's what propelled me into saying, well, you know, I got this degree when I was in prison
Okay.
for horticulture. I can get a job, you know, but it's like manual labor type stuff, you know. And
Yeah.
I wasn't really. But long story short, I got a job, and I immediately realized I was at 7-Eleven, and I was just looking around, and I'm in Stonebridge. And
Okay.
all these brand
Oh,
new
yeah.
trucks and
Oh,
just
yeah.
people going in and out. Everybody's in landscape uniform. They're all at lunch. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if I could just figure out how to be professional like these companies that with the logos, and because you got two categories. You got the chuck in the truck, and then you got a company. You know,
Yeah.
these guys do the same work that these guys do. They just charge more, and it looks better. And you know, so that was when I saw that, I was like, I just need to learn the ins and outs. But that even became hard because I could only get to a certain level at that company because of my ex. The X on my back. I couldn't get into management and all of that. So I actually, 3 years into it, I mean, I was just like stuck at $16 an hour. So I was like, I'm gonna try to find a job as a manager. And long story short, some things happened, and I did. It was a small company.
Okay.
He really just gave me a chance on a fluke because everybody had quit, you know, that was working for him, and I was able to take that opportunity and learn everything because it was basically, you know, I had to run the maintenance part of his business. And, you know, once he kind of got my feet wet, I mean, we would look up stuff on YouTube.
You had to do Aspire, all of these different things on a computer. It took on a whole nother image for him, but it was a blessing because all of the things that we use in our company or to when we began to build, that's where he learned it.
Yeah, you had that was that hands-on training, that management training, and just like the office stuff.
And I loved it. I thrived in it.
Okay.
What happened was after a couple of years, I mean, I was making $35,000 a year, but I was making the company 1.5, 1.7.
Right.
And I'm going into the office every Tuesday presenting my numbers. And it's like, so at one point, our house had just got hit by a tornado and rock wall. And I was like, you know, Chuck, I got another baby on the way. I need to, you know, can I get a $5,000 raise? And he was like, well, you know, you can't just come in here demanding money. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? I just hired a guy that's a chem tech. I'm a manager. This is a chemical tech. I'm paying him $42,000 a year. But it was like a major discrimination because I was an ex-convict.
Yeah, you had limited options.
My counterpart,
that
did the exact same job I did, he made $52,000 a year.
Yeah, okay.
The chemical tech made $42,000 a year. I made $35,000, you know, and I felt like I brought, you know, the bulk of the money to the table. And so I said, you know what? Our house had just got hit, and I told my wife, I said, man, we can rebuild this. I can make this thing beautiful for $40,000, you know, with real material, and we'll have this $40,000, and let's just branch out on our own. Yeah. And she was like,
I said, you should have done it.
You should have did it the day we signed on the house. I
did,
thought that was your goal the whole time.
I knew what we could build together. His degree, horticulture, mine business, the two together. I knew what we could do, and I'd really watched the numbers that he was bringing in with the company and what he was learning, and it was like, no, it's a no-brainer. I'm cool with it. I have faith that it'll work. It's never let us down. Let's do it. And within the first 90 days, so he's making $35,000 a year. Within the first 90 days, he made almost $130,000. Just these jobs just came back to back.
Just
within
happened.
90 days.
But you needed that seed money that you got from your house
Right.
getting
Destroyed.
destroyed by a tornado.
Yes,
Okay.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the house too. Oh, anyway, how it actually benefited us in the house when we sold it. But that was the starter. It was like, do it, we can do this. I'll do that back office, I'll mow, I'll do whatever. We were kind of
She
all
used to
in.
get out there.
I had my own
She
truck and
cut
trailer.
grass.
I do all that.
Have a baby on her hip.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we're gonna figure
That's
it out.
how we started,
And that's how
really,
we started.
in the
literally,
mud.
in the mud, at a deficit, like you said. For me, it was even more intense because I had been gone for so long that I had no driver's license, social, birth certificate. They just set you out, and I didn't realize, I don't know why, I guess because I was young when I went, that, you know, you can't get the driver's license without the social, and you can't get the social without the driver. I mean, just things like that.
Just stuff like that.
Yeah,
like I just,
You
I've
just
always
take
had
for granted you
that.
have
So
it.
I
Yeah.
So, yeah, just for me to even prove my identity when I got out, to be able to start doing these things was I mean, it was interesting. And you're
I'll
right,
bet.
complete deficit. But that's where it began. And
Then I met my cousin, who's like the wealthiest. He was the guy on Facebook that's got your last name, but lives in a big mansion. And you're like, man, who's this dude?
Okay.
And so Cecil, I met him at a funeral, my grandfather's funeral, and we were just talking. He was like, man, I hear you got a little business. I was like, yeah. He was like, you thought about getting any certificates, to help you bid on,
DBEs.
yeah, woman minority, black-owned, business.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, no, because that wasn't really my platform. My platform is, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You've got scale over here. You've got bagworms over here. We need some sod over here. That's how I communicate.
Yeah, you're a salesperson.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
so
really good at
it really stressed me. This is where my wife really has been a savior in all this, because I was so stressed when I met him. So he was like, look, when we get back to town, I want you to meet my wife, and you pay her $2,000 a month, and within 90 days she's going to help you get certified and help you get a big contract, and then you pay her per whatever the contract is.
Okay.
So I was skeptical the whole way, because for one, we didn't have money like that. I mean, we, like she said, we had a little money, but I didn't have the kind of money where I could just
I'm sorry.
throw $2,000 a month on a consultant. I didn't feel,
Sure.
we weren't doing it like that.
Okay.
And with no guarantees. And when we went to their house to put together the City of Dallas bid, I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, I got like 2 lawnmowers. I've got
like
a truck. I've got
it's
one
gotta be.
truck. I've got one trailer. If we get the contract, I don't have any credit. I mean, what? How are we gonna pull this all
And
together?
I was like, we're going to do it.
So, have you seen the movie War Dogs?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, was it War Dogs? Were the two?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's basically what we did.
You just kind of got the contract, and then okay, now what do we do?
She
And-
went
but
in and
I told
rebuilt
them
our
we're doing it.
website to the nines. She
I
went in
rebuilt
and
everything.
rebuilt the website. And
Found an office, because we were still at that point in our garage. And
Yeah.
you have to, for this size contract. Now, mind you, he's just gone for $35,000 a year to job. We've started, and now we're looking at close to $1 million.
yeah, we just
Okay.
won $1 million contract
Okay.
overnight.
And
Okay.
it's like, but we're still in the garage. So I had to find a place for us to have an office, to have a personnel, shop.
Because
Then
within
I had
30
to
days,
find
they
a loan
come out to make
and
sure
inspect
that you're capable
for
of the
capacity.
contract.
And bonding.
Yes,
and
all that.
All that.
So we're on a mad dash. Okay, we've got the contract. Because I told him, well, if you don't want to do it, I'm going to sit up. And I did. I sat up all night long. I'll put the numbers in myself. We're not going to pass it up because of fear. He was like, it could be too much. And I was like, we're just going to let God do that. You just go. We got this. Ended up getting it. And the crunch time to find employees and get equipment loans.
So now this
we
is
did
what
that.
happened.
We had to get an equipment
So,
loan.
Yeah.
so no. Well, we didn't have credit established.
Right.
So
Not like that.
I told my wife, I was about to break down, because I'm like, man, now we got the contract, and I can't put mowers on the ground because I don't own any. What are we going to do? And just I heard this little, the way God speaks to you. And it was like, ask Judy. And Judy was
Okay.
like one of my customers from the very beginning, older lady, her and her husband Hal.
Amazing.
They own Parkwood International, which is a place in
Consulting.
Frisco. They hire like headhunters for Pepsi, when they're
Oh,
when
okay.
they're looking for a CEO anyway. So I just went over there and I had her pull up the numbers and create all this stuff, get all the titles to everything. My personal trucks, just something of value, put together in this packet.
Asking for the money.
And so I went over there and I was like, Judy, man, I just really don't want to ruin our relationship at all with this. I don't know why I'm here, but really I believe God is leading me to ask you. And do you think we could borrow $25,000 for 45 days? And I said, here's all my financials. I mean, if I got to sell some stuff. And her husband, and she was like, no.
Hal pushed him back. He said, "Oh, I don't need that."
Yeah, he said, I don't need that. He said, if I'm gonna give it to you, then I don't. If I'm gonna let you borrow it, then I don't need all that. Because I trust you. Otherwise, if I had to have all that, I wouldn't even let you borrow it. And man, it really broke me down.
He said, "I believe in your vision." He knew where we'd come from. He knew everything about our story, why we hire, who we hire, and what we were trying to build for these guys. And because of that, and watching us through the years, I mean, literally, push the paper, we'll have the check tomorrow.
Wow.
And they wrote us a check, a personal check.
Yeah, and then we went back one more time, and he let me borrow one more time.
And we paid it all back.
And we paid it all right back,
Oh,
and then we
But who
haven't
does
had
that?
to
Your
ask
customer.
anymore.
I mean, what kind of favor is that
amazing.
a client, and we're still friends to this day with them.
We're still, that's
They're
the
the
only
only
residential
residential
house.
property that we
I'll
do.
do their house until they're no longer,
But
I don't
they're
care
the
how
only
inconvenient it is, we will
They're
take
not
care
even
of
on our route, but it doesn't matter because they have
Yeah.
but they believed in the vision of what we do, which I think too kind of leads into, now we're going to jump to, we got that contract, then secured another contract with Dart. So now we've got bigger shop. We were only in that small shop for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
We've got-
exponentially go to triple the size shop. Now we've got two buildings, 3 or 4 trucks. We're expanding. Everything's
There's
growing.
9 trucks.
9 trucks, and it now that was at 698, and the whole thing was built with what we were told it could not be built with. We
Yeah.
have peers, they're multi-millionaires, and they're doing well in business. And
Can I tell him? The guy, Tony Arps, he's over. Anyway, he said, man, I love your vision. I love what you're trying to do, but you can never build a company based on ex-convicts. He said,
Okay,
they're just not responsible. They're not. He said, they don't know how to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go pick up specs. And he said, you're going to ruin your.
And
it made me mad because at the time we're having this conversation, he didn't know I was an ex-convict.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just sitting there listening. It's one of these little meetings. It's like a meet and greet.
Yeah, it's a network.
He's trying to help.
Yeah,
for sure. But you have a different vision, and I want to get to that. But before I get to that, there are a couple of things I just want to pull out from what y'all discussed thus far. That's an incredible story. Okay, amazing, amazing story. Okay, and I just see a couple of things that that really jump out at me. The first thing I see is that y'all were very comfortable with risk, and you believed in yourselves, and you stepped out there way out of your comfort zone to make this stuff happen. Stephanie, you were a big part of that, it sounds like. Really, having faith in Chris and saying we can do this and that confidence, that is, you can't do this without that.
No,
There's no way. You got to have that. And the second thing is, y'all had some help along the way.
Amen, God.
And God, and you had
and people. He just put the right people.
Yeah.
At the right time, and I think that's why we've maintained such tight relationships with those people, because we see that they were there for a purpose. God put them there for a reason, and they have been support teams. They have encouraged.
Mentors.
You just have great mentors, because they too have businesses, and they're from a different echelon. And it's
a different era.
In a different era. So the wisdom that they give us, because they are older, and it's a different perspective, because we have ours, and then they come from a different world with business. So it really does beef up our knowledge and wisdom on how to do things and move. It's just been a blessing having those people
but
in position.
those two things is something that I see a lot. But in this story, it just hits you over the head that you have to take risk.
You have to.
And you have to have help. You have to, they're people, and there's guidance, and there's that spiritual part that is so important. When you want to go do something really cool like this, and y'all have done it. And then and you've built it differently. So like you said, you have all these mentors and stuff that do it one way. Y'all are doing it a little bit differently.
Yes.
And one big part of that is your people, the people that work for you. They are primarily they're primarily ex-cons, right?
Yes,
I mean,
90%, 99%.
99%. And
I've even got
What?
mad a few times and tried to say, you know what, I got to get
Just
some
get
normal folks. And you know what, God leads me right back every time. It's like, I can't tell you how much money we've spent on ads trying to just pull. It's like,
so you get frustrated from time
Right.
to
yeah,
time.
it's like it really is a calling. It's a calling.
Sure.
Because we've tried to leave it, and it's like it does. It's just like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, okay.
So first of all, why? Why is that who you hire?
Can I say this one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I say this one? I think because he was kind of in and out when he did his thing on the installment plan. I was gone for such a long time. It is very difficult, no matter the picture people paint on television, like prisoners have everything. When you come out, especially a big gap, you have to there's a technology gap there for me, 95, 2010.
Oh yeah.
So how do you expect people to function? The system is really designed, and I'm going to just be brutally honest, for you to fail. Because they don't give you those tools. They don't give you the keys. Like nobody told me, when you get out, you're not going to have a driver's license. You have to figure all that out. And what happens is people lose that confidence that they can get out. Because when they get out, they've got a mind, I've got this, and I'm going to do this. But when you start running into wall after wall, how do you do it? How do you get a job when they won't hire you? How do you get a driver's license when you don't have one and you need this and you need that? Who helps direct you if you have no family? Where do you get capital if your family's poor like mine? What do you do? And for me, it's very personal because I know they can do it and I know how the world sees them. All you have to do is change the mind. Change the mind, you change the man. And give the man or woman the opportunity to exercise that. If you can do that, you'll see them flourish. Not everybody makes it. That's because they're not ready. But when you have the people in here, they've got it. They really want to do it. And you help them walk it out. We've helped get more driver's license, help people fix tickets because they just couldn't get someone to help that $200 or $300 to pay for the tickets before they went to jail. Did we put out of pocket? Yeah. Is it a risk? Yeah. But when you do that,
It's
again,
an investment.
it is, and
It's an
you're
investment.
changing how they see themselves because you've invested in them, and you're changing how they see that moment and what they can accomplish from that. Because now I've got my driver's license. You see?
Yeah. So y'all are uniquely set up to understand
Exactly.
where they are.
And be patient.
Whereas
and
most
help.
most managers, most employers, they don't understand that
I
perspective
don't
at
think
all.
they have
don't,
the time.
No, they don't have. Then they just don't know. But these things that just seem like little things to me are these huge hurdles for them.
Yeah.
Y'all can help them with that, and in return, you end up with
Great
some
employees.
really good employees.
And then
Okay.
it changes.
And it breeds a loyalty too
It does.
because
Okay.
they believe in they're sold on the vision, the why.
Okay.
I mean, I think that was a big thing for me when I started to understand the why. Why am I doing? Why? What are we working towards? And that's kind of how I connected with you and
Sure.
John. And it's like because once you get into a position to where you've got a successful financial vehicle that making you money, the company. It's like, well, why are we doing this? What is the bigger purpose? Because yes, it is about people, but what is their bigger purpose?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're at a phase now where we're trying to figure out how to offer retirement, bring in whatever types of 401ks. I've got a couple things on that because we're realizing 7 years into this thing that we can actually retire probably in 5 years as millionaires and
then offer our people as well something. I mean, that's unheard of for an ex-convict. I've got
Yeah.
401k. I've got retirement. Those are things that are major for our employees, whereas
they might
other
have
people,
never
that's
had.
normal.
They never
Yeah.
would have
There
had.
are,
never would have.
because
Okay.
the jobs that are hiring them are McDonald's, Del Monte. I mean, they're not getting jobs where they're ever going to make any more money. Like my company, it's all ours because we're partners, but we
Yeah.
just started a newer branch, and that's a big thing. I don't know, just
Well, and what you're saying is that you're giving them hope in the future.
Mm-hmm.
To build towards something.
Yeah, and I can see that a lot of times probably doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
Okay, with somebody who just got out of prison, there's no time for that. I
Yeah.
mean, you got so many different things that you're having to worry about that are in the now. That hope for the future just is almost non-existent. But y'all are able to give them that,
Right.
and y'all are able to get that for yourselves, which is
Yes.
which is pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's
It
been a
is.
blessing.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a roller coaster though. I do want to touch on that. As a
Imagine.
business owner, for other people listening or watching, having 90-something% of our employees be ex-convicts is very challenging though, because we do understand it gives us, I think, a better patience to deal with a lot of the things. But at the end of the day, like Chris said, there's so many different personalities. There's so many learned behaviors. There's so many things that we have to work through with them individually. It can become quite challenging to maintain it.
Yeah,
You
I think
definitely
at
have to have the
first-
heart for it.
At first, I had a heart. I really wanted. Once I realized that there was hope in me, man, there is. You can't get out of this, because I was a miserable drug addict, drug dealer. I mean, I was on a crash course for nowhere. And when I realized that there is hope after dope, hope after dope.
Yeah.
I wanted to instill that. So I started going and speaking at these halfway houses. And we started getting these guys, and I feel like I almost at first was trying to shape them into what I know they can be. And it wasn't until, trying to mold people for a couple of years that I realized, you know what? This guy is this guy. I mean, and he's got some defects. We all got defects. But look at what he's great at. Look at what she's great at. Look at what she's great at. Why don't we focus on bringing out what's great in them instead of, beating them down because they're not able to do this, but they are able to do this, and
Exactly.
this.
And so that's how we deal with it.
Oh,
And then
that's
once they really get a chance in here, it's like now they can cross over. Nobody takes that time,
Exactly.
And I guess we understand it because we've been through it,
Exactly.
And
When we bring that, when we do have to correct things, or we do see, well, they're just not really good at this, we figured out real positive ways to, this, we see, man, you're knocking it out the park here. It's kind of like when we do with your kids, you build that up.
Yeah.
And we're going to focus on later on, we're going to try to work on this, but man, you're killing it here. And we just try to put them where they can utilize that until they do get this,
And we may have to jump through a few more hoops than somebody else, but
It's
to
worth
me,
it.
it's worth it because
But it is
it
difficult.
adds to the purpose. It's not like we're just in business and we're making money and we're going to retire. We're actually living in a purpose. We're helping people, and we're even growing into a bigger purpose from here for our retirement. Because it's still going to be about helping people, and
that next
Yeah.
one.
it's just
So I love that because, and that's a very modern management style, okay? Because, traditionally what you did is like my way or the highway, and you set out these strict
And
guidance.
we tried that.
Yeah.
And
We did.
that doesn't
It didn't
work
work.
It
because,
didn't work.
these are folks that for one reason or the other, obviously at one point, just weren't fitting in with society, and that can be due to a whole lot of things.
slew
Plethora of things.
Whole,
Yes.
whole bunch of issues,
yeah.
that are still there,
Right.
and you're taking the time to work with them through that, identify, and and it is, you made the analogy to like raising kids. It's the same thing. We can't raise our kids to be exactly what we imagine them
That's
to
right.
be. We have to be able to recognize who they are and who they want to be, and doing that with employees is
That's
fantastic.
what we were talking about last night. I just kind of had an epiphany, and I just really felt the Lord telling me, teach them to choose, and choose right as much as
There you
possible.
go.
Because people are never going to be perfect. But if it's like Einstein said, teach them to think, but teach them to choose. Teach them to think and choose.
You can't choose for them.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But
Right.
if you teach them to choose
And choose right.
as much as possible with with what's in them, then you're creating his purpose. He'll find his purpose. You don't make it, you don't mold it. He'll find the purpose that's just for him or her, and they'll choose right as much as they can. And that, to me, that's the best way to do it. And it's with anybody. Like he said, you just teach them to choose right and do right. And we're finding it's not in numbers. I think we were discouraged a lot in the beginning because we do lose a lot of people.
Yeah, because you are, because it is their choice.
Exactly.
You're just recognizing that, and they're going to choose wrong from time to time, and
I'd
that's
say
going to have its own
80%.
consequences.
80 to 90%.
I think that's the
when we-
biggest part.
Yeah.
We have such a high turnover. There's
Yeah.
so many that
Okay.
change.
And they're promising they get out.
Man,
And then 2 weeks later, it's like,
what happened?
What happened to
Where's
such and
Jordan?
such?
And that's not you. That's
Their
you,
choice.
That's their choice, and that's
But you
okay
can-
as long as
I
you
think
can find somebody
we
else.
can help them find ways to choose better, and we see that it does impact them. And for those that choose differently, we can't cry over that. We have to focus on the people that are left. And we have some amazing, solid people. I mean, our whole shop, if you walk in it, to us, when we see it, those are miracles. Those are stories that were changed. Every one of those women and men that are in there every day, their stories changed.
Yeah.
Their story's different.
And
Wow.
I've actually, when I was working for the company, Still Seagreen, and I'll never forget, we did a little meeting or party or something, and he was having a hard time with employees. That's kind of why he hired me, because it was like, I don't have any other alternative. This guy came in and filled out an application. Let me call him, and I'm gonna give him a shot. And so I started bringing people from the halfway house.
Oh, he freaked out.
And
Yeah,
but
he
you
did.
know
He
what?
started crying.
And I'll never forget. We were standing out there looking, and I'd been working there a year or so. And I said to the office manager, I was like, "What's wrong with Chuck?" Because he was standing off to the side, and he had like a tear come under his out his eye. And she said, I mean, I guys out there with tattoos on their head, and
he's
he's
scared for his life.
He's looking at what you've done to his company, and I was like, and she was laughing because she was like, she thought it was great too, but him
really
having
him.
28 years to where predominantly Hispanic, to look out on your yard and see all these ex-convicts. You got black people, white people, Chinese, and they're all gangsters.
I'm sure that was kind of scary.
So I think that's kind of where we had got crossed too. But I'm gonna tell you
Sure.
something else. What I realized in our business is when we really focus more so on people than the business. It seemed like when we transitioned our life to where it's more about the people that he brings to us and how we can, help them be better. It's like the business just took off. The business took off, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
That's a trip.
Well, there's a saying: you take care of your people will take care of your
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
It's a journey.
So from this point forward, y'all are kind of shifting. Y'all have gotten into kind of a different business at this point as well. So you continue to grow and change and flourish. Kind of tell us a little bit about this most recent shift that you've made.
We were working with DART on a couple of projects, and they have what's called allocation. So people have to call in and request permission and fill out paperwork to be near a track, whether they're doing construction work, surveying. And on the track, you have support, safety support, kind of like you see guys on the traffic. They've got the slow stop. Well, a railroad requires that. You cannot be on a live line without support. And when I would go to the track allocation meeting for his company, I kept noticing week after week, DART was having to turn contractors away. As a contractor, that's mortifying because you have people, they need the money, they've got families, and I just saw
But you
a
can't
problem.
do your
But
job
you can't do
because you can't get 3 people to stand out there that are
it
certified
to support you.
to watch.
Okay.
They have to support your team. So long story short, I spoke with somebody at DART, just kind of told them the problem I was seeing, and I said, well, it doesn't make sense to me. It was during the slower months for us. Everybody in our company is certified to flag. I said, well, all of our employees, I said, it's wintertime. I said, why don't you let our people...
And we
Well,
won't
that
let
was-
them go for the winter. We'll keep them.
Oh yeah.
Instead of
so
ramping
you've
down.
got these people,
Right, and
and
it
you
just-
see this need.
I
Okay.
saw the problem, and
Yeah.
it just made sense. And so they were like, well, that's unprecedented. Nobody from the outside has ever flagged for DART. It's always been in-house. After COVID, though, each department cut about 40% of their staff. So there's nobody to do it. And so it was like, well, let's try it. And I stepped out in faith. I talked to him. The guy told me, he said, send me the proposal. He said, I'll push it to the top. He said, can you have it to me soon? I said, that was a Friday. I said, I'll have it by Monday. I sat down the whole weekend, built the website, got the phone number to it, got everything set up. And both, we just sat there and prayed and in faith and let it sit there. That was in the off season. We got our first job like 7 months later, and it was insane. In the first year, brought in, right at $1 million. The first year. And it wasn't even a full year because we started slowing down around November. But we had...
And this isn't hard work. This is just
flagging. Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay.
We made the minimal investment about all the radios.
Here, this is the thing. This is, and I like to say this. I may make more money, but she keeps more money because I may make $2 million, but it may take me $1.6 million to get it done. She make $1 million.
Less overhead, less.
She doesn't have trucks, trailer, weed industry, gas.
Oh, this is
insurance.
The profit margins. When we did the numbers last year with the accountant, they were like 66%.
Yeah,
profit margin. That's
pretty
good.
darn good.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, wow. And then we had 24 employees, I think, last year without me. So 25 with me out in the field. And then you had like 18 or 19 as well. The 2 last year, it was insane, the amount of revenue. Again, I hire both ex-convicts and just regular people.
Yeah.
But it's easier for me to get employees. They go to their job site. I have, like you said, no trucks, no trailers. The only thing I'm responsible for is the radios, and only certain people have them. So now, anytime, DART, we have actually acquired our first contract with DART.
Archer Western.
We are Archer Western, but DART, we're the first ever outside vendor to ever have safety in their properties, period, since it's been built.
Wow.
So we are sole sourced. No contractor, no construction company, no surveyor, nobody can be near that track.
A lot of them, we don't have to
without
have a contract. All my stuff, you can go in there next year and beat me out for $1.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you know?
mine, not that. We are sole source. So
well, this is exciting.
This is, and I think that's where we're trying to really transition and focus our energy because it makes sense. But I have 2 managers. They literally, I don't have the same issue. I don't have to be in and out the field.
My
None
dad.
of that. His dad is one, and our oldest son. We have a 30-year-old.
Oh yeah.
And they manage everything. I mean, it's just amazing. So I'm freed up, and I think that's where we're at with Edens Touch. We want to transition to that, start looking towards retirement, start finding other avenues to build money and put money in and kind of step out because it's very taxing in here. Yeah. It's very mentally taxing.
So, yeah.
But the new business, it's just, whoa, I can't lose you, babe. Hold on. Is he insured? Is it good?
I hope so.
But no, it has taken off, and we had a little lull, slowed down, but we just acquired a contract with Archer Western, our first ever full solid contract with DART. We have multiple contracts that are a year, 2 years long, and it just this year it's probably going to double, I would say.
Wow, that's exciting. That is that's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all just continue to grow within your business and
just
with
from
your
seeing
family.
a need, and we had the people, and that's how it started. They were pulling his people to flag, and then we put the proposal in. Now my people have separate uniforms. They're a separate entity, their own LLC, and if I need somebody else, I can always come here and say, hey babe, can you send me
Chris,
somebody?
give me some folks.
And when she doesn't have, say, a job, there's a 3-day lull in it. They can come over and because I still do work on the DART
around.
job.
Okay.
So it's just kind of been a blessing. It's been.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. So this has been a great story. I can't wait to get this out there. It'll probably it'll probably air in about a month or so. If you could, can you tell us just real quickly? First of all, is it okay if somebody's interested in talking with you further about kind of what y'all are doing and how y'all are able to do it? Is it okay if they contact you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
we actually have another company. That's what it was, business consulting.
Oh, there you go.
We love that.
Okay.
We love to tell anyone anything. And not only that, we usually get something from them.
For sure, yeah.
There's an exchange.
Same here. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think what we've been looking for too is a platform because what we're realizing is that it's not just a good story, but it's encouraging. I mean, we bring a lot of hope because we really have overcome almost every obstacle that could be thrown your way.
Right.
As a business owner, like you say, just imagine we've had to overcome every one of those, and we did it. And sometimes, it's on your face in prayer, just
Because
wondering
it's unbelievable.
how it's going to work out. But God, He's always been there. And I think we're looking for a platform to try to
bring that hope to people.
Well, that's great. And telling the story about the adversity is so important because, like, for instance, my youngest is in college right now. She's going through midterms right now, and she's just like pulling out her hair. She's just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And and I kind of told her, I was like, well, this is adversity. You can't have success without adversity. I don't think it's exactly what she wanted to hear at the time, but it's so true. In anything that you do, when you're trying to gain success, there's going to be some hard spots in there.
But it has to be to build the character that you're going to have
when you get
to
where you're
sustain
going.
that.
Absolutely.
And that the process is critical. It is. It's completely.
You can't skip it.
And it's necessary because now, when you have that type of information, you can stop people from a lot of pitfalls, a lot of different things that you did wrong, or direct them. Hey, when we needed the girl across the street, when we were helping her, she needed a loan. Well, when we needed a loan, this is where we went. Don't bother with these because this is what they're gonna. You just have information again to exchange and then to bring hope with that. Because if we can overcome this, I guarantee you, there's a solution for what you're going through, and you can overcome it to get what you're looking for out of it. You can.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome. So if you could real quickly just kind of state the name of your companies and then the best way to contact you, and then I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Okay.
So
mine would be Edens Touch.
Okay.
Like the Garden of Eden. Edens Touch Diversified LLC, and my email is clofton LOFTON at EdensTouchLandscape.com.
Great.
And your phone number?
972-589-0521.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
All right, Regional Railroad Safety Services, which is primarily on DART tracks and is FRA approved, so there's multiple opportunities there.
Okay.
It's Regional Railroad Safety Services LLC. My email is slofton at regionalflaggingdfw.com. The number there is 972-849-0659.
Fantastic.
And yeah, anytime.
Yeah. So Chris, Stephanie, it was great having you all today.
Awesome.
Incredible show, I think, and I know everybody's going to enjoy it. So I want to remind everybody that we put this out every other week. You're welcome to subscribe, and we hope to bring you a lot of inspirational stories like this, as well as some of our experts that come in and talk about boring stuff like accounting and things like this. But man, I love these. I love these stories of success and that come out of adversity. And
Less
certainly
than zero.
Less than zero.
Less
I love
than
that.
zero.
Maybe that would be the
There's
next
gonna-
business.
there's
Less
going
than
to be a
zero.
book someday, right?
There's
Where
a
is
movie.
it?
There's an 80s movie. Robert Downey Jr.
No.
Oh,
Less
yeah.
than zero. That's old. No, but I love that. Less than zero.
Yeah, it's coming from less than zero and making it happen. So thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
All of y'all, thank you so much for listening, and have a great week. Take care.